So we're back with midweek reviews, man. I'm so excited. The renovations are pretty much done, which means obviously I can put my money back into the reviews. And this one, I'm actually kind of excited for. It's a little bit chunky. It is a woman's pair. But today, we've got the Air Max Portal in this Racer Blue colorway. Now, as I said, look, it is a woman's pair, but can you get away with wearing this one? We're going to get straight into these and check them out. I'm changing a few things up, making it a little bit more cinematic with the B-roll. Let me know what you think as well. I'm always interested to hear your feedback, your thoughts, any comments. So let me know. Obviously, before I started this YouTube channel, I had no experience. I'd never picked up a camera before. I've no experience in videography, in editing, in reviews, photography, none of that. Nothing. Everything I've learned is learning, by putting these videos up, seeing I've made a mistake, and obviously knowing it for next time. So just sort of bear with, because it's a lot to learn. But hopefully it's looking a little bit more crisp, a little bit more cinematic, but let me know in the comments. So a lot of people are saying the inspiration for this pair came from the Air Max Plus Hyper Blues. I kind of do agree with them a little bit, but I'm saying it's very similar to a Turbulence. I don't know if anyone remembers the Air Max Turbulence. This is like 25 years ago this shoe came out. Some of you will probably remember it. If you mix that with a 97, and then if you mix that with a Hyper Blue, and you mix those three together, I'll put all photos, obviously you won't be able to see me now, but I'll put all three photos there. You mix all three of those together, you get this pair. You can maybe say the Tuned 3. This pair was the Sonics. I call them the Sonics. One of my favourite pairs. But this pair here, you could say that as well. You mix all four of those together, this is the shoe that you get. Now, this pair of shoes here isn't a price tag of £185 or £175. So it's unfair to compare it to like a TN or an Air Max 95. It's sort of like a budget Air Max. These are only £100. Now you can actually get them from ASOS for student discount code, which will bring that cost down to about £80. So a shoe that's £80, it will be unfair for us to compare it to a 95 or to a TN, because this is a budget pair of shoes. So the materials are going to reflect the cost. So keep that one in mind. So now that I've got that out of the way, we're going to speak comfort. And look, it's a comfortable shoe. Like, it's very, very padded. I'm just going to sort of show you. Obviously, we'll get some close-ups later in the video. But that is very, very padded. Nice thick pad in there. Same around the ankle area. The tongue is fairly padded as well. Look, there's obviously more comfortable shoes out there, but it is a comfortable shoe. Like, these are noticeably comfortable. Now, with comfort comes sizing. This is a woman's pair. It is a woman's pair. I went true to size. I picked up a 10.5 UK, like I do in all of my reviews. The reason I go true to size is then that way I can obviously then let you exactly know what the pair will fit like, especially when it's like a blind buy. So I went 10.5 UK. I know this is a woman's pair and you should obviously size up. You should sometimes size and a half up. You're going to need to size up. If you're going to get this pair, I'd recommend going a half size up, maybe even a full size up. They are very snug. Like the toe area just narrows slightly, not quite as much as it does on the TN, but you can feel it. Like, you can feel it. For 10.5 UK, they are cramped. Like, they are snug. I should have done the woman's conversion rate. Like, I already know the conversion rate, but the reason I don't do it is just so I can then let you know accurately if you should half size up, if you should full size up. If I just get my conversion rate already sorted, I can't really give you a rough idea of how this one actually fits true to size. But I'm telling you now, if you're going to get these, I would go half size up, maybe even full size up. Now, if you're not a fan of this colorway, head over to the Nike website, because they do have multiple colorways available. Look, if you don't like chunky shoes, you're going to be saying, I don't like this one. I completely get that. But for £60, I had to pick this one up. Already, some of you obviously already subscribed to the channel. Anything Racer Blue, I'm a massive fan of. Royal Blue, I just think it's such a clean colorway. It just goes so well with that yellow or with that gold. But let's talk quality control. Now, as I keep saying, we cannot compare this with a TN. I can't compare this with a 95. the quality control is going to be maybe different because obviously the shoe is a lot cheaper. If you look closely, there's a few threads obviously sticking out there. There is a few threads sticking out. There's a few glue marks as well. There is. It's not quite as bad as what you'd probably think. There is just a few glue marks there. As you can see, they're not that bad. It does show a little bit more obviously on a shoe that is black or has like a black outer sole or midsole. But it's okay. The quality control is okay. The reason I'm saying it's okay, because you have to take into consideration it's £60 I paid for these, or £64. You can't expect the world. It's a clean pair. If you're on a budget, this is a good cop. It really is. These are gonna last. Like, they are gonna last. I have to say that they're built well. It's a solid shoe. The only thing I'd say I'm not the biggest fan of is that tongue. That tongue to me is just like, it's a little bit cheap, it's a little bit stiff. I think they could have just done a little bit better on that, a little bit maybe better padding. Just my opinion, of course. But everything else, I'm really liking. It is a bit chunky. It's only going to be a few people that are going to like these. But if you're on a budget and you're looking for a new pair of Air Max, or maybe, you know, you don't mind wearing women's shoes, I'm not really fussed. My favourite pair of women's shoes is the Sesame Alabasters. I'm just a massive fan of this pair. So wearing women's shoes for me, I don't really care about. But yeah, this one here is kind of clean. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as well, because I'm interested to hear your thoughts on these. Take into consideration the price. You know, let's not compare it to a TN. I think the reason I was so critical with the DNs, or maybe a little bit critical, is because of the price. You know, £165. I want that shoe near enough perfect. I don't want a cheap shoe. But when you're talking £60, these are kind of nice for the cost. You know, you've got to take that into consideration. Where's the on-foot clips for this one? I'm going to do these inside, so you're going to see some on-foot clips in a second. I've got two reasons for that. One, they don't fit. I've just told you about the sizing. These don't fit, so it's pointless wearing them outside. You know, I'm going to return these. The second reason why I'm going to return these is not because I don't like the shoe, not because it's a little bit chunky, but look at that tongue. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but these have got a hole in them. So it's like a fairly decent sized hole. I'm hoping the camera's focusing on that. Despite the shoe being fairly nice, I like the colorway. I'm sending these back. Like, I am sending these back. Would I have kept them if they didn't have that hole in? Yeah, I probably would. I probably would have, because I'm saying they're £60. You know, £60 in my head for a pair of shoes that I can wear in the winter. It's a solid midsole. Yeah, for £60, I'm paying £60 for these. I'm going to keep these. But for this specific pair, like, what's going on with that? I'm not going to speak too much about that hole, because that could be ASOS, where I bought them from, or it could obviously be Nike as well. So I don't want to be like, that's Nike's quality control, because obviously that could also be ASOS as well. The box that they actually came in, which I'm going to show you in a second, is spotless. So they haven't been crushed, you know, from DPD or anything like that. But they have just got a massive hole in the tongue, which for any consumer, you're going to return these. They've said that's absolutely fine. I asked if I could put these just outside, you know, on concrete and do the clips on. They were like, that's fine. You know, as long as you don't wear them and put them on your foot. Yeah. So I'm going to return these, man. But it's a shame. I probably would have kept them. So now we're going to do an unboxing. We'll get some close-ups of the shoe. And like always, we cover all areas. Pretty standard box, as you can expect. Now popping back the lid, buried underneath that wrapping is the Nike Air Max Portal in that royal blue colorway. Look, these are clean. They are chunky, but you can't argue with the fact that this colorway is just so clean. So we'll start with the outer sole and we'll work our way up. Now the outer sole, it's very minimalistic. It is very minimalistic. You do get a very small Nike swoosh there, but it is royal blue and black. Something I will say though, this outer sole, very sturdy. Like, these are built to last. I mean, this is a solid outer sole. It is a chunkier shoe, but this one's very close to being perfect for the winter. I get that it's a mesh base, but obviously it's going to be grippy. It's going to be something very solid, very perfect for obviously those sort of cold winter days. And then what we'll do now, I'm just going to show you that midsole. Now that midsole is very chunky, as I've said. It is a chunky midsole. Some of you are not going to like that. I'm going to compare the midsole to an Air Max 95. Now I'm not going to be comparing the materials. It's quite literally just going to show you obviously the size comparison of that midsole. As you can see there, it's not too much of a difference, but it is a chunky midsole. I've got to be honest with you guys, it is a chunky midsole. Some of you are not going to like that. Some of you obviously are going to be fans of that. Yeah, it is a chunkier pair. I'll give you a comparison with a Air Max 1. So yeah, that's the sort of size comparison. Just so you can see obviously here, Air Max 1. And you can also see the difference there on the Portal. Now the midsole itself is an all black foam and it is fairly solid. You do have an engraved Nike swoosh there. It's just a little bit of extra detail. But it is that, I don't know if you've picked up a pair of like budget Nike shoes, you know, you have that sort of rock solid foam. Adidas have it on a few pairs as well, the Adidas Swifts. It's similar foam to that, where it's like very solid. You know, I can see myself wearing these in the winter. Obviously I'm not going to keep this pair, but if I was going to wear these, it would be like a winter shoe. It does take some similarities there from a TN. It's not quite a whale tail, but you can kind of see what they're doing. It's a little bit arched. As you can see, it's sort of like an elevated heel. Now you do have the air units. It's like an oval cutout. The air units are black. I kind of like the oval cutout though. I do kind of like it. Let me know your thoughts. Here's a bit of a close-up as well, just so you can see that, I don't want to call it a whale tail, but how it sort of separates the midsole, separates the coloured block in there. And there's that overall air unit. I kind of like this, so obviously you've got the black outlining, you've got blue, and obviously you've got a black air unit there. It's kind of clean. We'll spin it around. So here's the back of the shoe. You've got air. You've also got the Nike branding. So the Nike branding is in like a gold colour. Some of you might say that's yellow. I mean, it is yellowy gold. You do have these little, I'm going to call them like toggles. I kind of don't really like this on shoes. It's just my preference. It is just my preference. Some of you might really like this. I kind of would prefer it if it didn't have this. I think that just looks way better. It's just my opinion. You know, it doesn't ruin the shoe at all. But yeah, the back of the shoe is kind of clean. Very simple. I get it's very chunky. That just shows you how much that sort of midsole is sticking out there. Now the material used for the back of the shoe and also the mudguard overlays is like this textured woven material. It's listed as leather, but it's definitely not a leather. It is like a textured woven material. I mean, as you can see there for the mudguard overlays, it does just add a little bit of extra stability there. Just separates that midsole to the mesh base. Now on the right hand side of the shoe, or the outer side of the shoe, you've got this big yellow swoosh. Now it has a black outlining, but on the inner side of the shoe, it's just a small yellow swoosh. Sort of the same size as the one you can find at the bottom of the tongue there. I'm kind of liking it though. You know, obviously I'm liking that big swoosh there. These two colours, I mean, it is iconic. The hyper turquoise, sort of racer blue and yellow. Man, there's so many pairs with this colorway that I just really like. It's just, they go together so well. And I guess we move on to the star of the show, which is that mesh base. I mean, look at the gradient. Look, for £60, yeah, the gradient on this pair is so nice. It's a really nice, vibrant racer blue or royal blue. It's just such a nice color. It really is such a nice color. I love how this is like a little bit darker. It almost starts obviously like a dark blue here at the bottom of the shoe and sort of just works its way up. That's what it would look like on your foot. Now, whilst we're talking about the mesh, as you can see the gradient, that's a little bit more of a close-up for you guys. It is a padded mesh. So these are going to be very comfortable. Look, I think once you get your sizing right, these are a little bit too snug for me. But take nothing away from the comfort. I mean, this is a comfortable pair of shoes. I mean, it works its way all the way down to the toe area. As you can see, nice and soft, but still breathable. So a perfect pair of shoes for the winter, also one that you can probably get away with wearing in the summer as well. Now, something I noticed straight away is those turquoise eyelets. They just look so nice, a little bit of extra detail, matching the colour theme of the shoe. Look, I wasn't the biggest fan of the DNs. I found with the DNs, I mean, you couldn't even thread the laces through, just my experience. But these, look, on the inside, you've got the eyelets on the inside as well. Easier to thread the laces through. You don't have to stand like trying to thread it through 2 layers of mesh. You know, it's not like I hated the DNs. I just felt that the DNs weren't worth the price that they were going for. Whereas this specific pair is a budget shoe. You know, you can take the fact that there's some things obviously that they could have changed, but it's worth the cost. I mean, these are worth the £64 that I paid. I didn't feel the DNs were worth the £165 that I paid. Now the laces are in black, and they are pretty much TN laces. Now they are those sort of thin TN laces. I'm a massive fan of these TN laces personally. I kind of like how the eyelets are underneath. It's just a little bit different, a bit unique. I'm loving the gold detailing as well, the yellow swooshes. You also get that at the top of the tongue. You've got the Nike branding, and you've also got Air. Now the tongue, let me zoom in for the tongue. Look at that hole. Like, look at that hole, man. Obviously I've got to return these, that's absolutely fine, it happens. These things do happen. Something I will say of the tongue, it's not the most padded tongue. It's a little bit stiff. Like, that's not the most padded tongue ever. It is a little bit stiff. They could have changed that up. It's the only thing on this pair of shoes that I would have changed. The tongue just feels a little bit cheap. So yeah, the only thing that lets it down for me is just that tongue. I mean, from that angle it does look padded, but there's just nothing there. There's nothing in between those 2 layers. It just feels really like flimsy. Yeah, it's just my opinion. The rest of the shoe is really comfortable, but the tongue, it is just a cheap tongue. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of this. Doesn't ruin the shoe. But I mean, if you just hid that, I think that just looks way better. Now the inner sole in more of that royal blue. Obviously you do have some very minimalistic Nike brand in there, in more of that sort of yellow gold colour. And then the padding, it is fairly thick. I've got to give Nike credit for comfort. This one is a really comfortable shoe. That tongue does let it down slightly, but I love how the padding is sort of all over. I mean, it's even down the toe area, works its way for the side paneling or just the side of the shoe, and obviously the lining, really thick padding. And that pretty much covers this one. Look, it's a little bit of a rush review. You know, it takes me a while to do these reviews, takes me a while to edit, especially after I've just worked like 9 hours already. But you're right, I need to do more content. I do need to do more content. So look, if I'm going to have to do a few quicker reviews in the week, that's absolutely fine. Do I recommend picking this one up? Yeah. If you can get these at the right price, you know, if I got them for £60 or £64, if you can get these at the right price, then definitely pick them up. If you don't like chunky shoes, I wouldn't recommend it. If you picked up a pair of the Turbulences, you know, 20 odd years ago, and you're sort of reminiscing and you sort of like that pair, then these are near enough. They're near enough the same silhouette. It's not identical. I've shown you the similarities, but I do like them. I do like them. It is a budget Air Max. It's definitely a budget Air Max. You know, if you gave me the choice and said, Jordan, what are you picking, a TN or a Portal? I'm going with a TN. You know, that's an obvious. It's an obvious choice. But a lot of people don't have £185 to spend on a pair of shoes. You know, everyone's on their own hustle, their own journey. If you want an Air Max that's pretty clean, it's a nice enough colorway, it's comfortable, it's cheap, Portal could be the way to go. But that covers this one. I'll catch you in the next one. Until next time, cheers.